Aaron, they did it.
What did they do?
They made Final Fantasy X-3.
What? I don't think so. You're way off the mark on that one.
Well, we're swimming and we're underwater. How is this not Final Fantasy X?
I mean, isn't it obvious? This is Final Fantasy XIV.
No way. Will there be Blitzball?
I mean, maybe eventually?
Well, I guess we better talk about it. I'm Tony Garso, and I'm here with Aaron Van Dyne, and today we're looking at some footage here of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood, which is the new expansion. And we were at the EU Media Tour in Hamburg, Germany, and we've got some footage for you to watch today. It's pretty cool. We have a commentary list version coming up as well if you want to. But big shout out to Andre for getting this for us. We were there and we got to get some hands-on time with it. So I just want to remind you guys that this is development footage, so there may be changes, any like numbers or tooltips that you might see today. They may not be final, so don't panic. But it's definitely a good first look at this game. So Aaron, what's Final Fantasy Stormblood for people who don't know?
So, Stormblood is the second expansion for Final Fantasy XIV following Heaven's Word, and it's bringing a whole list of new features to the game, some of which sound really exciting.
So this is coming to Windows, PS4, and Mac, right?
Yes, so the biggest thing to note is they've actually dropped PlayStation 3 support from the game in order to sort of expand on the features and make the game just be more than it could be without the restrictions of the last generation system.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So, I mean, like, what if I'm playing on PS3 right now, but I wanna get a PS4? Are they offering anything for me to, get on board with a PS4, like something or other?
Yeah, so if you have the PS3 version and you've been playing it, actually, I think it's as long as you've had a PS3 version registered at some time in the past, you can upgrade to the PS4 version for free as long as you have a PS4 system, of course.
You should definitely upgrade to a PS4 at this point for sure. So, this is coming out June 20th. I'm reading here, so that's not too long. That's what, a little bit over 2 weeks.
Yep, just over a couple weeks, and then early access will start on June 16th. So we're definitely counting down the days.
So early access, what does that mean entirely, and how do I get it?
So the way you get it is if you pre-order the game, you will be able to start playing the expansion a few days before the official launch.
Sounds pretty cool. I like extra days before the game actually launches.
Yeah, it's a nice little bonus for, to get people to pre-order the game, and it's, if you're gonna get it anyway, you might as well.
So I guess just to recap for anyone who's unfamiliar, Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood is the second expansion for the game. We're not counting 1.0. We're starting with A Realm Reborn, then Heaven's Word, then Stormblood. That's how the titles have gone so far, and they've been out every 2 years, and this is the second one. So this actually continues the story of A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word. This continues it through a new arc. What's special about this arc?
So in this arc, we finally get to go to Alamigo.
And where's that exactly?
It's all the way out, what is it, to the north and east?
Yeah, so on the map of Eorzea that you can see right now, it's up towards the north and east. And, well, we're going to go free from the Empire, the Garlean Empire. They're back, and they're badder than ever, I guess. And so we have to go free Alamigo, but not only Alamigo, we got to take a boat ride out east to Othard, which is where...
Yeah, so, they're going for a huge Eastern theme, it seems.
So, yeah, we're going to go to Doma, we're going to go to a new city called Kugane. It's going to be pretty cool. We're going out there to basically free these places from the Empire's control. And so we don't want to spoil too much because we know that there's plenty going on here that some people may not want spoiled, so we're going to keep it to the bare minimum like that. But earlier in the video, I just want to touch on this again. We did see some swimming and diving action. And what do we know about this? beyond just the basic swimming and diving?
So the swimming and diving, from what they've said, you'll be able to do it in all the new areas that have water, of course. And they are actually going to go back and make some of the old, like, Realm Reborn areas swimmable, such as Costa del Sol and places like that.
So I guess, to be clear, like with the Heavensward expansion, there was flying. You could fly everywhere, and in the video right now, you can see us flying in the Stormblood zones, but you can't fly in the Realm Reborn zones. And as far as swimming goes, you're probably not going to be able to swim everywhere in the Realm Reborn and Heavensward zones, but it seems like they've thrown something in there to get you to put on your bathing suit.
Yeah, I think that kind of came from there was a lot of feedback from people who were disappointed that we couldn't fly in the older Realm Reborn zones.
So right now we have Red Mage on screen, and Red Mage is one of the two new jobs. They are both damage dealers this time around, Red Mage and Samurai. So Red Mage, what's the big deal with this one? How does this play?
Well, so Red Mage actually uses a combination of physical attacks used with sword, and they can also use magic.
They also use Int as their main stat, if I recall correctly, right?
I believe so, yes.
So I'm looking at the screen right now, and I see some sort of icon on the screen. And if you paid attention to the live letter that was up last week, you would have noticed that each job has one of these job gauges now. And what this is intended to do is to kind of take the mechanics of your job and pull them off the status bar and put them in an icon that better represents the mechanics of your job. So with the Red Mage, one of the major mechanics, as we learned in the live letter, is that you have to balance the use of white mana and black mana. And white mana is like white magic, so like stone, arrow, that sort of stuff. And then black mana is kind of attributed to like thunder, fire, and blizzard spells. And so by using the shortest recast time on Red Mage's actions, you can essentially quicken up the later actions that take more cast time. So if you start off, like their combos will start with the shortest cast time, and then you'll work up to the longer cast times. But if you balance your mana right, then you'll be able to essentially cast higher cast time spells for shorter, and that means you'll be, doing more DPS, which is what this job is built for. So each new job has one of these job icons and job gauges that will let you basically figure out, a little bit, use visually more clues and more hints that will let you play your job easy. The goal with this, they said, is to, there are veterans that have been playing the game for a long time, and they're pretty good at dealing DPS in instant content, but some of the newbies, though, like if you're just going through the story, it might be hard to, with your gear or maybe your expertise level to really get to that damage that you really need to be at. And I mean, we've all been there. I mean, like what? Final Steps of Faith, how many other trials where you can just
oh my goodness. I mean,
really
even
notice.
looking back to Alexander and just getting a grip on the 3.0 changes was pretty tough.
Yeah, so this is definitely, I think, going to help people acclimate to their new job, or a new or existing job. And I'll just bring it up right now. There are extensive changes to the battle system this time around when it comes to just the overall behind the hood mechanics, as well as the different actions. So I guess we'll jump into that. We have some big changes under the hood, like the parry and accuracy. They're gone. They've been replaced by, what is it? Tenacity and direct hit, right?
Direct hit. Yeah.
So do you happen to know like what they exactly affect? Because we know right now from the live letter that parry's being changed to tenacity, and judging by my notes here, it looks like it will increase the amount of damage you deal, but also decrease the amount of damage you take, which seems totally different than parry. Is that correct, or
I feel like it almost sounds like what parry should have been, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird though. It sounds like it almost seems like determination doesn't affect damage taken, right? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
So I don't know. It feels like a weird kind of other determination, but I'll take it. More damage and damage mitigated is cool, especially if you like playing a tank like me. Accuracy. What the heck is going on with accuracy?
Well, I mean, the thing about accuracy is even within the last major gear patch, 3.4, I feel like they kind of looked at accuracy and said, okay, well, we're just gonna, at least in the raid, we're gonna keep it the same as it was in Alexander Midas, because people, it just really didn't work out for some people, and then you had healers who would run into accuracy problems and DPS who would run into them with optimal gear stats. It really wasn't working.
Yeah, it seemed like to me back when I rated, like a lot of your gear, you had to balance it around accuracy to be able to hit a boss at a certain angle 100% of the time. And if you didn't have that accuracy, then you're
Right, and if
kind
you
of
didn't
SOL.
have like a piece of gear to offset a gain or a loss in accuracy, then it just, you're just kind of out of luck.
So it seems like direct hit rate is the new stat that accuracy has been changed to, and how it works from my notes here is that it's kind of like a critical hit, but it depends on where you're standing. And right now, critical hits, I believe, are designated by an exclamation point after the numerical damage. But now, as you might have seen in the footage already, we have the critical hit having one exclamation point, but then the crit plus the direct hit having 3 exclamation points. So if you manage to land a correct hit, not a correct hit, a critical hit and a direct hit at once, it'll actually show up as 3 exclamations. And yes, they can hit at the same time. So
Which
I
means
also heard
you'll get like super extreme damage.
super extreme damage, and it's perfect for the 2 new damage dealers that we have for the expansion. I guess Piety's getting demoted though.
Well, I think that had to happen as well.
Yeah, none of the jobs have used Piety as really a main stat, and Piety is a stat that basically increases your MP. It doesn't seem to really have much use other than that, so Piety has been kind of demoted to the secondary stat, as you might have seen in the character sheet that our boy Andre has. And so I'm just looking at these areas here, and it looks like there's quite an array of enemies, and I'm seeing here looks like he's got the G pose going on here. It looks like you can use actions in G pose now. Pretty cool. I hope he doesn't die.
I think they actually revealed that on one of the live letters.
Interesting. It would be absolutely cool to use to just take all manner of screenshots. My screenshot folder for Final Fantasy XIV, by the way, is like 13 gigabytes. It's just insane.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate all the effort they've put into the screenshot functionality for the game.
I'm looking at the samurai job gauge here. It looks like it's like 3 different icons and then like a katana that fills up like a meter. And from what I see here is that the samurai, like it'll build up sort of like as a rage meter, and you'll consume points for various actions that you have in your repertoire. And I don't recall exactly what the 3 stances here. I believe one of them is moon, one of them is snow. I can't remember what the other one is. Maybe heaven, or something like that. But these 3 different, I don't want to call them jutsu, but I think they're somewhat like stances, but they sort of activate, like some sort of combination between ninja and monk. And so you can see that on the job gauge there, they light up at different points, and then you'll be able to use various different abilities that consume each of those 3 different nodes there. So samurai, like a lot of people were expecting it to be a tank, but no, it's
Oh
a melee
yeah, I
DPS.
remember. Gosh, there was all that speculation, and what was it? Even at FanFest, Yoshi P opened up with, people thought this was going to be a tank class, and as soon as he said the word tank, people were like, "What?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 let me finish."
But here you can see us running around Kugane a little bit, and here it is during the day, and it's raining, but I still think it's really beautiful even when it's. So this is the
Yeah,
new
I think
city, yeah, like
think
Ishgard
this
was
might
in
be one
Heaven's
of
Word.
the best looking towns that they've had in the game yet.
So this is going to be the first town that's not split up into two sections, I believe. So this is
Right,
going
they
to be.
did say that, and that's another benefit of no more PS3 limitations.
They also said something like you can actually climb up like really high here, and they're looking forward to watching players fall from like really high up places, and it'll be interesting. But yeah, Kugane is the new place to be.
I
So
really like the colors here. Like, just the variety is definitely a stark contrast from what we've seen before in the game.
yeah, just this walkthrough alone, like this walk through this little shopping area, I assume this little marketplace, it looks really gorgeous, and it looks even better at night too. Here's some daytime footage here with our new Lalafell Sam got to have a go with. But yeah, this town is beautiful, and I'm really happy that they kept it pretty faithful to what you saw in the original CG trailer. So I heard that the next housing area though is also somewhat based off of this city. It's called Shirogane, but it's not
Yes,
going to be out
that's
right
correct.
away, right? Not right at launch.
I believe they said it'll be a couple weeks at least because they want people to actually enjoy the game, enjoy the story instead of rushing to get their house.
Gotcha. Total sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same situation with the raid. They don't want people to just rush through everything so they can get gear and then go into Omega.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it seems like Omega is going to open up like a couple of weeks after, so that people can enjoy the story and not have to worry about raiding it. So we're taking a stroll through Gir Abania, which is the location that is near El Amigo. So this is in the northeastern reaches of Eorzea. And Andre here's on Black Mage. I don't know if I would open with Fire 3 and Flare though.
Maybe if you wanted to be
Seems
a little flashy, I suppose, but
I guess he wanted to show off some of the new actions, even if they don't make this most sense in a rotation. But we will forgive you for now. So you can see the job icon there for Black Mage too. Like you can see how shifting back and forth between Fire and Ice Magic is displayed on that job icon there. And I haven't played Black Mage in a while, but I'm kind of excited to kind of get back into it just because of these job icons are gonna help me ease back into and help me feel out what I remember. And I guess the Enochian timer is that purple thing that keeps taking away there. I think that's pretty cool.
yeah, I feel like they've kind of these visual cues will help people better understand the class.
So I know that they made a big change to your favorite job. So
Yes,
I want
they
you to
did.
explain that a little bit.
So I guess we'll start out by explaining what happened to it in 3.0, but Bard, they basically turned it into a casting class and didn't really work out too well. A lot of people didn't like it. It's definitely a very cumbersome way of approaching the class, and finally 2 years later, after so many complaints and I guess so many non-answers from Yoshi P, they were like, okay, we're gonna take away the casting. Your auto attacks are back. Bard is no longer a bow mage. And I'm honestly really excited about that. That's probably one of the most exciting things for me about this expansion is being able to go back to Bard and have fun with it again.
So yeah, Bard and Machinist, no casting anymore.
Yeah, although at least with Machinist, I never felt like the casting was cumbersome,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because they actually built the class around those concepts.
Right.
So I'm actually kind of hesitant to see how that class has been redesigned without the casting.
I took a look at some of our materials here, and it looks like Machinist, they have a new job gauge that basically has something to do with overheating their gun, and so it looked like at one point with the various levels of heat, you don't want to heat it up too much because then it'll get overheated. However, later on you get an ability, I believe within the 60 to 70 range, where if it does get close or does overheat, you can actually use the heat from your gun to amplify certain attacks. Uh, that seems pretty cool. I don't know if it was like that before. I never played
No,
Machinist too
I
much.
mean there sort of was something like that with the turrets. You could use an ability
Right.
called Hypercharge, and that would give your whatever enemy you were fighting like a damage up
Gotcha.
for you. So it sounds like they're maybe weaving that more into like the actual rotation a little better.
Very interesting. So here we see Scholar, and you can see Scholar's got like a fairy gauge, and like it seems like that's their gosh, it's escaping my mind. The what is it? Ether flow? Yes, ether flow. You can see the stacks represented in job gauge right there. So yeah, big changes all around for all the jobs and classes. I do actually want to mention something that we forgot to before, in that all of the actions have been readdressed. So like they've gone in and like went to town on just like rehauling all of the actions, getting rid of all the stuff that's kind of crappy, like Fracture and God, what else? Keen Flurry. I think that's all been consolidated into more useful skills. And Aaron, this time, what have they done with all of the skills for each job?
So this time they've kind of grouped all the cross class stuff into like I guess common actions, if you want to call it that. So for example, each DPS can now choose Goad if they want. Each DPS can now use Invigorate, and before it was kind of limited.
So, like, if I'm a caster, I don't have to level Black Mage to get Swift Cast, or I don't have to level.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're alleviating some of that pain because getting Swift Cast on Thaumaturge it wasn't really fun, and a lot of people wouldn't do it. So it became kind of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, like, with tanking though, since tanking is important.
Oh right,
having,
there was a bunch of tank stuff too, like what
right,
was it? Warrior
Provoke.
didn't have like a flash or provoke.
Yeah, like Provoke, I feel is an essential tanking tool.
Yeah, I mean there are, and unfortunately there are warriors out there who don't have provoke. So.
Yep. They're just glorified DPS. So yeah, a lot of changes coming. Like skills are being revamped or regrouped into role-based classes. So that if you're a tank, when you level a tank, when you level a gladiator, a paladin, a warrior, a dark knight, you're gonna have everything that you need within your original leveling. And to that end, they also removed so when you got a job in The Realm Reborn, and well, just The Realm Reborn because the Heavensward jobs started at 30. When you got a job in The Realm Reborn, you had to have one job or one class to 30, and then a subclass to 15. That's getting wiped out. It's basically when you're 30, you get your job, and what I assume they're gonna do is just like something will flash on screen like it does now, saying, "Hey, like you can go get your job now," and it'll be less of a headache to have to level another class to 15, which I think was another holdover from 1.0.
Because again, like you had people who didn't know that, so you'd be in like a level 40 dungeon and see a Lancer. So
yeah, no excuses now. No, and hopefully people will be more incentivized to go get a job. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really interesting changes being put into Stormblood. The traversal for one, the job changes for another.
Definitely a lot of quality of life stuff, it seems.
Yeah, totally. So like, as far as what you've seen from all of the footage that we've gone over and what we've learned about Stormblood so far, what do you think is probably the most alluring thing for you personally?
Well, obviously aside from the whole bard situation, just the new locations, being able to
Gosh, they're
explore
gorgeous. Yeah.
and the music especially because what was it? Heaven's Word soundtrack was just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to see what they pull out for Stormblood.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting Soken to up the ante and Heaven's Word. I mean, I've bought all of the soundtracks because I'm such a fan of this game's soundtrack. So it's really good stuff, and what I've heard so far is great. And if you want to check it out, we'll have a commentary-less version of this video. You can check it out yourself. The areas are beautiful. Some of the underwater areas are interesting too. I did notice though, like some people have brought up, they've wondered though, like, hey, is the swimming like, is it? Can you just dive underwater and it's like there's no transition? Yes, there's a transition, as you might have seen earlier in the video, where you will dive and then there will be like water that washes over the camera and you'll be swimming. And from this one zone that we were in earlier, the Ruby Tide, I believe it's called, you will basically swim down and then there will be little areas that you can enter, bubbles with, I believe, breathable oxygen. And so it's got transitions, but it looks pretty dang cool as you're swimming around down there. Some beautiful shots. The music down there is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to.
So yeah, we're also getting an inventory expansion, which I know a lot of people, a lot of people.
That it's such a small thing, but it's so huge for me.
So I believe we're getting an expansion to the armory chest and the player inventory. Like, I believe it's a bag and a half. It seems what it looks like.
Yeah, it's
100
definitely going to alleviate some of the stress of just micromanaging all the stuff you get.
So in the video right now, you can actually see we've started the dungeon that they were able to let us play at the media tour. This is Shisui of the Violet Tides, and this is an underwater area dungeon. And you know, it's an underwater but breathable area, like a big dome, and underneath it is breathable air, and you can see a big palace in the distance. This dungeon is gorgeous. But yeah, dungeons are back, and there'll be several dungeons throughout the story that you'll have to complete, I assume. And I'm just looking here at Dragoon. Keep going. Get going.
He just wants to look at the gorgeous scenery.
I don't really blame him, but yeah.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I can't wait to see what they've come up with for these new dungeons.
So yeah, and then speaking of dungeons, we have a boss here, and you know, we had to sneak you guys a little bit of this boss. And the music during this boss is actually really cool. It's kind of a different take on the Stormblood theme that we heard in the EG trailer. No,
I love that they're doing that again. Like in the Heaven's Word soundtrack, they kind of took that motif, like the Dragon Song motif, and really ran with it. So the fact that they've taken that little thing for Stormblood that we saw in the opening is just really fantastic.
Yeah, so this boss here is pretty interesting, and we'll see some mechanics coming up. We're not going to show you the whole fight because obviously we know some of you guys like to have mechanics unspoiled, but it's definitely an interesting fight. And you know, just seeing the combat in action with the job gauge, I'm really excited to get my hands on this.
Early access can't come soon enough.
Yeah, so speaking of early access, I mean, yeah, again, it's just over 2 weeks until early access. I can't believe it's that close. So that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for all of the footage that we have today. Again, we'll have a commentary-less version. Check the description for that. So definitely stay tuned to novacrystallis.com. We're gonna have more stuff for you soon. Hit up our social media channels for more on Final Fantasy XIV, and we will see you in Stormblood.